Grab some Kleenex and prepare for a gut punch of a novel. Hello everyone, welcome to Bound in Prose, the booktube channel for those with very eclectic tastes in literature. I am your host, Matt, and today we are jumping back into a series I started with David Copperfield, and that is Let's Read a Classic. So I know the term classic can have different definitions for different people, or people kind of, determine what is a classic based on different criteria. And so for me, I'm going to call a classic anything that has been around for a couple of decades at least and is still well known and respected. So that being said, for this second video in this series, we are going to be reading Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. Now, I'm not going into this totally blind. I don't know a whole lot about this. I know that it involves the story of a man named Charlie Gordon who receives this experimental procedure that's supposed to make him more intelligent, and it was done to a lab mouse named Algernon, and it seems to work for a while, and Charlie gets smarter, and then all of a sudden the lab mouse Algernon starts to deteriorate. And so I have heard people say that this is a really sad but good book, so I'm really excited to get into it. So anyway, let's get started. Okay, I am staying with some family for half of this week while I am teaching band, and I am here in bed ready to get into Flowers for Algernon. So I will check back in with you sometime after I have something to say. Okay, so I have read the first 40 pages of Flowers for Algernon, and what I'm thinking so far is I'm already getting attached to Charlie, and it's just such a sweet and beautiful soul. And he's had the little operation that is meant to enhance his intellectual capabilities, and he's starting to see some progress. So he's able to beat Algernon in the maze, and he used the mixer at the bakery shop, and his coworkers were really frustrating me, really making me mad, because he thinks that they are his friend, but they are not, and they kind of, use him as a punchline, and they were going to use him as an April Fool's joke to try to take the day off. But anyways, and I love Mrs. Kenyon, and so yeah, we are off to a very interesting start. I'm already very much engaged, and I already have the feeling that this is going to be a gut punch of a novel. So, but anyways, I'm going to go ahead and go to bed, and I will read some more tomorrow after I teach. Okay, done with the day of educating, and so I am back here at the house, and I'm gonna spend some time reading this evening, see if I can't get through a little bit more Flowers for Algernon. So I'll check in with you in a bit. Okay, I am up to page 102 in Flowers for Algernon, and I'm really enjoying this, very much engaged. It's all written like journal entries from Charlie's perspective, and now that he has had his operation, He is becoming more and more intelligent. The grammar, the spelling have all gotten so much better. And we're kind of in the stage where I would say he's writing, like a good author would. I mean, the prose is beautiful, and the way that it's put together is really intriguing. He's fallen for Mrs. Kenyon, and they just went to the concert. So that's where I am. There's a lot of like dark undertones, or like sort of disturbing undertones going on. You kind of find out a little bit about Charlie's history with his parents and the schools that he went to, and he has come to the realization that the people that he thought were like laughing with him were not his friends, and it's making him angry. And so even though he's more intelligent, he is still emotionally not at the same level. He is developing more slowly emotionally than he is intellectually. And so there's a lot of conflict there. But it's really interesting. I don't know, like I'm really engaged in it, but it's just got a very troubling tone and quality to it. So anyways, I'm going to hit the sack for the night and try to get some rest so I can get up tomorrow and teach a bit more. So hopefully I will check in with you guys soon and let you know kind of how things are going. All right. Okay, it's my second day teaching, the end of the day. I am laying in bed this evening. I have one more day tomorrow, but I spent some time reading Flowers for Algernon this evening, and wow, okay. This book is quite depressing, which I expected there to be some upsetting things in it, but it is pretty much an onslaught of upsetting things. It's not quite like A Little Life level, but Charlie's past and some of the things that he is dealing with are, really tough. I mean, he was abused as a child for sure. And then, now the whole thing, he's like with Miss Kenyon that he likes, and things are just not working out between them. Charlie is advancing so much that, it's making Miss Kenyon and the people around him feel like they're actually getting, like they're regressing in their intellect. And so, golly, it's difficult. It's a struggle. I might read another chapter before bed, or I might just go ahead and call it an evening. And then tomorrow night I will be back at my place. So anyways, I will check back in with y'all again sometime soon. Well, hello again. It has been a couple of days since I last checked in, and it's been a couple of days since I read anything. So I am about halfway through Flowers for Algernon, and I just took a couple of days. I had to go teach at college, and I had a day off, and I just kind of sat in my recliner and watched YouTube and TV and just kind of took it easy. So, but I'm going to sit down here. I'm going to try to knock out some more Flowers for Algernon, so I will check in with you in a bit. I'm having to stand up and take a brief break because I was starting to kind of feel a little bit tired and I didn't want to fall asleep. But anyways, so Charlie ran away from this conference. He was kind of getting mad and feeling like, the scientists that performed this experiment or this operation on him were kind of pitching him as like non-human. And so he lets Algernon out of a cage, and they run away and they get an apartment together, and he has met a woman named Faye and has overcome this block that he has regarding women. Hintity hint. And so anyways, we've just done that, and now I just hit the point where it seems like Algernon is starting to act a little weird. So I think we're hitting that part of the book. So anyways, I'm going to take a brief break, and then I'm going to read a little bit more. So I'll check in with you in a bit. All right, hello again. I am done with my stuff for the evening, had dinner, took a shower, and I read a little bit more while I was eating, but I thought I would spare you that imagery. So I have about 30 pages left of Flowers for Algernon. So I'm going to sit here and try to finish this book up tonight. Now, everybody's warned me that this is a really sad book, and my aunt told me that she would get me a box of Kleenex whenever I was done with it. So I'm curious to see, hi baby, I'm curious to see if I'm going to have a reaction to it. But anyways, I will film the ending and we'll see what happens. All right, talk to you in a bit. Ooh, okay. All right. All right, I am done with Flowers for Algernon. So, yeah, that is a heavy, upsetting book. Beautifully written, and I will do like a final wrap up here in a bit. Maybe tomorrow, but anyways, I kind of knew where it was headed, and, you know, it's playing out in the end, and it is really sad, but as you can see, it was the final sentence. Coyote is nudging the camera. So, it was the final sentence that kind of got me. So, yeah. Got a little bit of the misty eyes going. Not a full-blown boo-hoo. But yeah. Whew. I want to collect my thoughts and really think about what I want to say about this book before I finish up the video. So I will do like a final wrap up tomorrow. And yeah, so anyways, I'll talk to you again soon. And there you have it. That's Flowers for Algernon. So this book, in some ways, was what I expected, and in some ways was not what I expected. So I knew that it was going to be a sad book. Everybody says that this is a really sad book. And I guess kind of in my mind, I thought that it was going to be more of Charlie gets everything that he wants out of his intelligence, and, you know, his life is on like this better path in a lot of ways, and everything's working out for him. And then he realizes that he's going to deteriorate, and it gets taken from him. And that's kind of true, but this book was pretty much a bummer throughout in a lot of ways. Yes, Charlie does get, you know, more intelligent and even surpasses the doctors that gave him this operation. But then, you know, his intelligence comes at a price. And so he regains a lot of his memories and has to deal with a lot of trauma from his childhood. His mother was abusive, and he was basically sent away to, you know, live in this home because the mother wanted her daughter to have a more normal life and didn't want her to have to deal with like being made fun of because of Charlie. I mean, she got
kind of pulled into things, and kids would make fun of her because her brother, was not as intelligent, and had his issues. And so, yeah, it's kind of a bummer throughout. I did really like the writing in this book. I thought that it was really interesting, and I think that Daniel Keyes' choice to make the perspective first person and journal entries. I mean, Charlie's writing progress reports throughout the book, and so you can really see sort of where he is in the beginning. I mean, the spelling and grammar is horrible and very simplistic. And then as he becomes more intelligent, he becomes a better writer, and learns how to use punctuation, and then gets to the point where it's very intellectual, and then towards the end of the book it regresses. And so, but it was a really good book. So as you could see earlier, the ending, I mean, I knew where it was headed. And I kind of knew what was going to happen. But there were a couple lines towards the ending where, Charlie will write in his progress report at the very end, like, dear God, please do not let me forget everything that I have gained, and, everything that I have learned. Please do not let me forget how to read and write. And so there were a couple lines like that kind of got me a little choked up. But then the very last line, which is one of the things, I don't know, it's the title of the book, so it deals with the title of the book. The last line, I was just kind of like, yep, well, it kind of got me. I mean, like I said, not a totally boo-hoo, but it got me a little choked up there. So Flowers for Algernon has inspired an Academy Award winning movie called Charlie. Yes, Charlie. And then it won the Hugo Award and the Nebula Award. And so it's a very well-known book. It's been around for a while. I feel like a lot of people know the title, if not everybody has read it, but it's a fairly well-known piece, and I would say a more modern classic. There is a play that was adapted from the novel as well. And so, yeah, it's been around for a while. I'm glad I finally got around to it, and now I know the story. So, anyways, I thought that this was a good way to kind of get back into our series on Let's Read a Classic. I hope that it has inspired you to read this book if you have not. And if you have read it, I hope it was a nice little trip down memory lane. So, anyway, I ended up going with 4 stars for Flowers for Algernon. So I think that it was a really well-written book. It was very engaging. And I wonder if some of that is just because because of pop culture and some of my friends, I kind of knew what the story was going to be, that it didn't really have, like, the same impact as, like, A Little Life. But there were a lot of points that it kind of got close to that. I mean, it is a bummer. So yeah, 4 stars. I felt like it was really good. And so my criticisms of this book, for one, a little bit of the pacing towards the middle. Yeah, just a little bogged down there in the middle. I mean, I was reading it last week and I got about halfway through it, and it kind of took a couple days, and I was just like, I just don't feel like reading that right now. And I mean, the dark content and the depressing content, I feel like I would be a little bit of a hypocrite to say is a criticism, because, I've read A Little Life and I gave that 5 stars. It's one of my favorite books. So not that so much. And one of the things is I did get a little annoyed with Charlie about midway through the book. I mean, I understand. And so one of the things is that he gains his intelligence, but he develops a little bit slower emotionally. And so there's a lot of times, even when he's like getting smart, where he's kind of insufferable. And I mean, a lot of people in the book, kind of call him out for this. And like, whenever you weren't smart, you were actually like nice and kind to people, and people wanted to be around you. Now that you're like super smart and a genius, you know, you kind of become, you know, an unlikable person. And so, I mean, he did get on my nerves a little bit. And then towards the end, I mean, he's mad at the world and he's mad at the people around him and kind of lashing out, but that is due to his deterioration. So I totally understand that aspect of it. So it just like, I don't think 4 stars is a bad rating. It didn't quite leave me feeling as like fulfilled from the experience as some of the books that I give 5 stars. So very, very, very good. Just not quite like that reading experience that I will remember for the rest of my life and has truly had an effect on me. So anyway, and that's going to do it for this week, folks. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for those who comment on my videos. I appreciate you. I see you coming back. And so thank you so much. If you've watched some of my videos, if you come back for a few others and you haven't done it yet, go ahead and subscribe and feel free to leave me a comment and, you know, like the video too, all that YouTube stuff. It really does help. And I try to kind of keep up and see what's popular and what's not doing so well. So, you know, anyways, so coming up, I just started reading Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. And so that'll be the next thing I'm reading physically. And then I am about 100 pages into the book Thief. I am listening to that as I drive, and I'm going to listen to it some more today. I have to get back on the road. So, yeah, so far so good with that one. And then I'm looking forward to doing Assassin's Quest. So we got some fun things coming up. And anyways, I hope that you have a great rest of your day, a great week. I'll see you next week or so. So thank you so much once again. Happy reading, everybody. Why do I like books that hurt me?